The last great tank battle of the 20th century. The year was 1999. Kosovo burned with the heat of conflict. NATO airstrikes pounded targets across the Serbian countryside, but on the ground, deep in the valley of Drenica, an armored confrontation was brewing, one that would never be reported by the mainstream press. Captain Marko Vukovic, a battle-hardened Serbian tank commander, was a man of iron and ghosts. His face was a map of scars, his eyes deadened by a decade of Balkan wars. To his men, he was legend. To his enemies, myth. Marko commanded the Beli Vukovi, the White Wolves, an elite tank platoon known for surviving impossible odds. Opposing him, embedded with a covert NATO mechanized unit, was Captain James Rook Halston, a brilliant but impulsive American commander. Young, hungry for legacy, and burdened by a family of decorated veterans, Rook saw this mission as his proving ground. His orders: intercept and neutralize the Serbian armored column before it reached a civilian refugee convoy hidden in the hills. It would be a collision of titans. The last tank duel of the 20th century. Dawn broke through the smoke-hazed valley as the two forces moved like phantoms toward each other. Marko scanned the tree line from his Soviet-made T-72, whispering orders into the comms. His platoon of 4 tanks, camouflaged in mud and foliage, moved in coordinated silence. "They think we're running." "Let them think," he said, his voice calm as steel. On the opposite ridge, Rook's M1 Abrams rumbled through a torn forest path, accompanied by 2 tanks and a Bradley IFV. He studied satellite intel on a flickering display, heart racing. Civilians were 3 kilometers west. The Serbian tanks were closing fast. "We need to cut them off now," he said. "No room for mistakes." Private Thompson, his gunner, glanced up. "Sir, this terrain's a trap." "I know," Rook replied. "That's why we set it." What neither commander knew was that the valley floor held secrets, hidden anti-tank mines left from an earlier skirmish, and a third force, a rogue paramilitary group seeking to sabotage both sides for profit. A heavy fog settled over the valley like a shroud. Communications became patchy. Visibility dropped to meters. In the white veil, shapes moved, some human, others mechanical. Marko halted his column near an abandoned farmstead. He exited his tank and stood in the silence, memories of his younger brother, killed in Sarajevo, haunting him. Lieutenant Zoni, his closest friend, stepped beside him. "You still think this war means anything?" Zoni asked. Marko didn't answer. Instead, he took a small locket from his coat, inside, a faded picture of his brother. "We survive. That's all that's left," Marko muttered. Meanwhile, Rook's column hit a snag. One of his tanks struck a mine, immobilizing it. The explosion sent a shockwave through the trees. Smoke curled into the fog. "They know we're here now," said Thompson. "Let them come," Rook said, loading a high-explosive shell. "We hold this ridge." Then came the crack of Serbian cannon fire. A shell screamed past, striking a tree near the Bradley. Flames leapt. Screams echoed. The tank battle had begun. The valley turned into a battlefield of echoes and deception. Tanks stalked each other like predators in tall grass. Marko's tank maneuvered silently behind the crest of a hill. He watched the Abrams down below. "Only one?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Zoni said. "The others are flanking wide." "Then this one dies first." They fired. The shell missed by inches, but the impact disoriented the Abrams long enough for Marko's tank to reposition. Inside the Abrams, Rook cursed. He recognized the strategy, classic Soviet doctrine. Whoever led those tanks was no ordinary commander. "Who the hell are we fighting?" he growled. They returned fire, striking a Serbian tank on the edge of the ridge. It exploded in a ball of flame. Back in Marko's tank, Zoni growled, "They got Milan." Marko's jaw clenched. His unit was down to 3. "We draw them in," Marko said. "I'll take point." "You sure?" Marko gave a crooked smile. "Let them try and kill me. It's not so easy." Night fell with bitter silence. Both sides paused, hiding among burned-out farmhouses and shattered trees. In the dead of dark, Marko left his tank and crept alone toward the ridge. He needed eyes on the NATO position. He reached a ruined barn and froze. Inside, Huddled against hay bales were civilians, dozens of them. Albanians. Mothers and children. Marko blinked. He'd been told there were no civilians in this sector. A child looked up at him, terrified. He slowly removed his helmet, revealing his lined, weary face. "I'm not your enemy," he whispered. In that moment, his war changed. At sunrise, Rook launched a flanking maneuver, unaware of what Marko had seen. His tanks advanced fast, too fast. As they cleared the ridge, 2 Serbian tanks opened fire from hidden positions. One Abrams was disabled. Another caught fire. Only Rook's remained. "Pull back. It's a kill box," Rook shouted. Then, Marko's voice came over the open comms, speaking perfect English. "This is Captain Vukovic. Your attack ends here." Rook's eyes widened. "You speak English?" "We both fight for people who don't understand the cost," Marko said. "I've seen the civilians. You're driving them toward slaughter." "You're lying. Come see for yourself." Rook hesitated. This could be a trap. But something in the Serbian's tone, tired, resolute, almost mournful, felt real. "I'll come," Rook said finally. "Alone." The duel. They met in the burned-out village square. 2 tanks, 1 NATO, 1 Serbian, faced each other at 50 meters, gun barrels raised. Marko stepped out first, rifle slung but lowered. Rook followed, weapon holstered. Between them stood an old fountain, now dry and cracked. Rook spoke first. "Why this? Why risk everything for refugees?" Marko's voice was low. "Because I was once one of them. War took everything. My brother. My country. But not my soul." Rook looked past him, saw the barn, the faces of families. Suddenly, a shot rang out. A sniper. Marko fell to one knee, hit in the shoulder. From the trees, the rogue paramilitary group emerged, mercenaries hired to ignite chaos and loot the wreckage. Rook dove behind his tank, returned fire. "White wolves!" Marko shouted. "Form line. Protect the civilians." The final battle wasn't tank versus tank. It was 2 enemies turned allies against a darker force. Explosions shook the valley. Smoke rolled in again. In the chaos, Marko climbed back into his tank, blood soaking his sleeve. Rook covered him with cannon fire. Together, they crushed the rogue unit in a fury of coordinated strikes. The sun broke through the haze as silence fell. Burning vehicles dotted the landscape. The battle was over. Marko stood among the refugees, arm in a sling. Rook approached, tired but alive. "You saved them," Rook said. "We saved them," Marko corrected. They shook hands, not as enemies, but as soldiers who chose humanity over orders. Later that day, both commanders received word. The ceasefire was official. The war was over. But in the valley of Drenica, long before the ink dried, a battle had been fought and won, not for land or politics, but for people. And it was the last great tank battle of the 20th century.